Good morning. Saturday morning. Hope everyone had a good Friday. It's rained a lot today. I don't know if it's going to or not. I think it's supposed to. We'll see what happens. Um, so we can just sit and breathe and relax. Let's see. Hi, Dora and Dave and Sue are here, and probably more people. That's all I can see from the chat. Right, so we'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started. Oh, I did put some. I'll say this at the end of class too, but I did put some links in the. I think it's the About tab in the channel. There's a place to put links. I think you're probably supposed to put links to your own website, but I mean, there's some very good websites with good information out there, so I don't really see any reason to reinvent the wheel there. But I have a link to a recipe for the chai tea that we've talked about before. Another recipe to some more Ayurvedic um, foods, um, and then a link to the yamas and the niyamas, a good kind of a good explanation, overview, and then there's also you can from that site you can go into a little deeper um, treatment of each one of them if you're interested in that. Um, and I think as we go through, I will post more things if I find good websites where they have um, a pretty good explanation of it, because some of the things you do probably want to read a little more about. Um, if you're interested. Gosh, yeah, I should put some stuff up there for meditation. I will. But I gotta find some good resources. There's a bunch of stuff out there. My gosh, so much. But it's hard sometimes to wade through it, right? Because you want to get good stuff. Um, and there's also you know, a lot of stuff that's really just filling up words. It's taking up space on the internet. And it's mainly got a lot of ads and not much content. So those things we want to avoid. So I won't link anything that does not seem reputable to me. Um, okay, so let's get started. Sitting and breathing, sitting up nice and tall, being in a comfortable place, doing some of that steady in and out with the breath, checking in to see how we're doing today. So we talk about the yamas and the niyamas. Um, they're the reason that we sort of work on them is because in yoga we talk about these that there are sort of four main kind of drivers in our existence. I guess you call them, they're sort of very basic needs, very instinctual needs that we have as a human being, and they are sleep, food, sex, and self-preservation. Um, these are pretty basic for all of us. We may or may not, focus on any one of those at any given time, but they're very basic urges, and I think you can all kind of understand what that means. We want to work on, sort of regulating all of those aspects, because when we don't, they take over. They can become a huge focus. That's like all that we can think about. And when one of them is disturbed, um, we are pretty much disturbed. We feel very disturbed. Um, and the yamas and the niyamas are the way for us to um, pursue those urges in a responsible way, in a way that will keep us in balance and not kind of, going crazy one way or another. Um, so I guess we could talk about them just briefly. I mean, food, we know about that, right? But again, like if we aren't moderate in our food, if we aren't eating things that are nutritious, that can easily kind of throw everything else out of whack with the body. The same thing with sleep. If you've ever been insomniac or had periods of that in your life, you'll know how very destructive it can be. I have experienced times in my life where it's been impossible to sleep for days on end, and that is uh, terrible. I mean, that's a form of like torture. Um, so figuring out how to regulate your sleep and whatever you need to do with that, and again, that's kind of part of. Good morning, Carrie. That's part of this whole thing. If we're working on the yamas and the niyamas, we're getting some structure into our life and into these things. It helps. Um, so we can talk more about sleep, or you can, again, like this is something you can look at as well. But um, regularity is important with sleep. Getting on a sleep schedule so that you aren't trying to do things and ask things of your body that it's not ready for. And, if you aren't exercising, if you aren't out doing enough things, you won't be tired, you won't want to sleep. So, right, you can see how all of these things, they feed one another. And when one breaks down, it it can kind of drag everything with it. But the good news is you can start, building one up. You start focusing on one, it kind of pulls everything else along as well. Um, Sex is also, that kind of basic urge, but not just sex, but desire in general, desire for pleasurable experiences. Um, and we've talked about that too, that's easily can take over our life and kind of obsess our mind. Um, so, using these tools to moderate that is important. And then the idea of self preservation, I mean, as a very instinctive thing, that idea of trying to survive, right? That makes sense. We get that. Um, but I would say in our daily experience, that isn't such a big thing for most of us, right? Most of us have that survival thing down pretty well, right? We feel relatively safe in our existence. Um, Nowadays you may feel a little bit shakier about that, but for the most part, we aren't living in a war zone. We aren't under siege every single day. Um, but self-preservation can be more than that. Self-preservation can be that idea of um, yourself, right? That there's something intrinsic um, about this self that we want to hold on to, that we don't think will change, right? So we talked about this too, that some of our habits, like the idea we are this way, we've always been this way, we'll never change. It's part of who we are. That can be very damaging when we identify with our habits or our um, history to such an extent that we are not able to see any way to change, or changing circumstances, we are not going to fit into that. So again, self-preservation, it's good, it's not a bad thing, but we can take it too far. And some of what we talked about with the yamas can help you with that idea of letting go, of knowing that you are not your habits, you are not um, this one thing, you are this eternal thing. Um, and we all are. So everything else are kind of, it's like clothing that you wear. Um, you may have beautiful clothing that you love, but you'll take it off and put on some new clothing. I mean, it's not intrinsic to who you are. So, yeah, so yamas and niyamas, ahimsa, we talked about that, non harming. Um, satya, truth, living your truth, being truthful. Asteya, not stealing, not taking things that are not yours to take, responsibility, things, all of that. Um, brahmacharya, right? Moderation, being moderate in all things. And aparigraha, not being possessive, not grasping onto everything and holding on tight, letting things move in and out of your life. Um, so we can work on them as we go. Um, and it will, you'll see as you kind of, and again, like that's not necessarily something you don't have to think, okay, today I'm going to work on, well, you might want to, today I want to work on ahimsa. That's a good one that you can keep in your mind. But the rest of them kind of flow. You don't have to wake up and be like, okay, today I'm not going to steal anything. You'll be presented with these opportunities as you go along, and you'll think, okay, so here's something. Here's where I can put this into play. And uh, you know, it's not, again, like we don't have to spend a whole lot of time um, working on this every day. It's really more an awareness. We're going to be aware of these things. Um, and, you know, when you have a decision or you're at a crossroads of some sort, think about these. Think about these and how they may help you make better decisions. And then, I'll be reminding of you, I'll be reminding you of them as we go along. So you won't forget what they are. Okay, so let's get going. Um, we're going to drop the head toward the front, chin down toward the chest, and then moving the head around. Make a big circle. One way and then the other. Back to center. Breath in, lean forward, and move around. One way and the other. Back up to your seat. You can walk the hands out a little bit. Back up and hands behind you. Squeeze back the shoulders, gaze up. Back to your seat, arms wide. Breath in, exhale, hands together. Inhale, arms wide. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gaze up. And then arms down by your side. Let's lift the shoulders, roll back. Roll forward. Right hand on left knee, left arm behind you. Sit up tall. Take a twist. Back to center. Switch sides. Twist. Back to center. Tabletop. Sitting back on the heels. Child's pose. Back up. Tabletop. Just moving through cat-cow. Inhales and exhales. And finishing up, back to tabletop, flip the toes and lift up to downward dog. Walk the way up, feet to the hands. You can be in a fold for a few breaths. Rising slowly, standing tall, breath in and out. Inhale, lift the arms high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're stepping back. Downward dog. Inhale, high plank. And lower down. Inhale, upward dog. Well, not really upward dog. I mean, it could be upward dog. It could also be halfway. And lower. Inhale, lifting head and chest. And lower. Last one, lifting up, head and chest, or upward dog. back to downward dog. So if you want to add upward dog, if you want to do that for the first one, you could go straight back to downward dog. You could hold it a little longer. You don't have to go down and back up. That's really just for if you're doing halfway lift. One more breath, then bend the knees, walk your way up to the top. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift arms high. Back to mountain. Breath in, breath out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're stepping back with the left. Press down, arms up overhead. Warrior one. We're going to bring the hands behind you, leaning out. So kind of airplane arms here. And then arms back up. Warrior one. Moving to warrior two. Shoulders relaxed. One more breath here. And then we're going to straighten the right knee. Lift the right arm. Kind of stretch here. Stretching along that right side. And then right arm comes down. We're lifting up the left for triangle. So you might be up here. You could come lower. Just want to be nice and open through the chest. And then coming back up. Take a breath. And then release the hands down, turn your foot. And we're facing the side of the mat. So we've got hands at the waist or hips. Take that deep breath. Lean forward. Let the head hang down. Arms come down to the mat or to the feet. And then we're going to bring the hand to center, right hand to center. So you are on the floor here, maybe a block. Maybe you just have hands at the hips. If you aren't able to reach the floor today, we're just going to twist. So turning the shoulders to the left. You might extend the arm. Just depends. Back to center. Switch sides. And twist. Back to center. Hands at the waist. Use that leg strength. Lift yourself up. Take a breath. And then we're turning to face the front. We've got right leg out in front, left leg behind. Interlace the fingers behind your back. Draw the shoulders together. Deep breath. And fold. Press down with the right foot, rising up. Back foot steps up. Arms overhead. Back to your mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, right foot steps back. Press down with both feet, arms overhead. Warrior one. Bring the hands by your side and behind. So got this airplane arm thing. Reaching out with the body. Coming back up. Warrior one again. Moving to warrior two. Left arm extends out, right arm behind. On your next inhale, we're straightening the left leg. Lift the left arm. Stretch. And then lowering the left arm down, right arm lifts. Coming into triangle. Back up. And release the arms. Turn the foot. So we're facing the side again. Another fold. This time let's bring arms behind. Interlacing fingers, you could grab opposite elbows or wrists. Kind of walk the hands back, whatever feels right today. Take a breath. And then leaning forward. Moving back up. Release the hands. Let's bring them up over your head. And then back to your sides. And we're going to walk the feet in. Oh, I can't believe I haven't done this in a while. How about this? We used to do this all the time, but now we'll do it today. Yogi squat. I know you're all thrilled. All right, hands together. And we're going to lower down. So if you can keep the feet flat, that's great. Um, if you're up on the toes a little, that's okay. Breathe. Eventually, we want to be able to get the elbows in between the knees here. Press the hands together. Maybe. Right, everybody's structure is a little different with this. So if you're only like halfway here, that's fine. Right? Not everybody can get down here right now. So if you're like here, that's fine. We're building up that strength in the legs. And everybody just come on back up. So if you are coming halfway, don't worry about it. What you're doing is you're working on it, and you're also building a lot of strength in the legs. So being here, it's a lot of work, right? You'll feel it. Once you get all the way down here, I mean, I could pretty much sit here most of the day. I guess my legs would probably fall asleep at some point, but there is not a lot of effort being made at this point. So I know people who are go about halfway feel really like, oh, I'm not really working. No, you're working very hard, and that's a hard thing to do. So just keep doing it. And if you never get down here, you're going to have massively strong legs anyway. So it's all good, right? Come on back up. Well, you weren't down, so you didn't have to come back up. Now we're facing the front, left leg out, right leg behind. Some version of hands behind. Deep breath, fold forward. And then back up. Back foot steps up to the front, arms overhead, and we're back to mountain. Take a breath. Okay, so let's work on a couple balance poses. We can start just lifting up the right knee. Set it down, switch sides. Set the foot down, bicycle legs. Let's step out into a warrior three. So we'll have hands together, stepping out with the left foot to start. Shifting the weight into that left side. We're lifting the right leg as we are leaning forward. Hands might be at center, or you could do airplane arms out to the side. If that helps with your steadiness, whatever you need to do. And then set the foot down. And we'll work on the other side. Breath in, step out right. Lifting up left. Finding the steady place. And breathe. And one side, may be more difficult than the other. What are you going to do? Set your foot back down. Let's lift the arms high. Interlace the fingers. Stretch the palms. And then back down to your side. So we're going to come up top of the mat if you're not there already. Lift the arms again. Fold forward. Inhale, flat back. On the exhale, we're stepping back to downward dog. Inhale, coming up, high plank, and then lower down to the mat. Head turns to the right, arms by your side. Take a few breaths. Head back to center. Let's bring the arms forward for a Sphinx. Yeah. So we're propped up on the elbows. Hands are pressing down onto the mat or the floor. Feet might be a little wide on the mat. And we're going to sort of press down with the hands, pulling back with the shoulders. Gazing straight ahead. And come on back down. Arms by the side, head turns left. Head back to center. And we're just going to start lifting up head and chest, arms and then legs in kind of a locust. And lower down. Let's just keep head to center, maybe bring the arms out in front. And we're going to kind of rest your forehead or your chin, whatever you want to do. Take a few breaths. And then moving back up. Tabletop. The child's pose. And then tabletop to downward dog. Walk the feet up. Come to a seat. Soles of the feet together. Take a deep breath and then leaning forward. Back up. Both legs out in front. Lift. You inhale and then exhale, folding forward. Moving back up. We're going to bend the right knee. Either bring that foot right close to the thigh, or you could bring it up on top of the leg. This is just a little more intense version of the other. Take your breath, and then we're reaching the left hand down toward the foot and folding. Back up and switch. And whatever you did on the one side, we'll do on the other. Breath in, fold forward. And coming back up. Let's do one more fold. Inhale, fold forward. Back up. Bend the knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. Make sure you've got some room. Lowering down or rocking back. Find a comfortable place on the mat. And then we're going to bring that right ankle, top of the right knee. Staying here or drawing that thigh in closer to the chest. Remember, you can always go into regular pigeon if you prefer that in this for this stretch. This is just a different version of that. And then set the foot down. Let's switch. Drawing that right thigh in close to the chest if possible. And then both feet flat on the mat. Take a few breaths. Then we're walking the heels in, close toward the body. Ready for your bridge. We've got hands by the side. Press down, hands and feet, or start lifting up the hips. And release the hands. Lower down. Bring soles of the feet together. Knees apart. Take a few breaths. And then bringing knees together, we're going to bump the knees to center. And the feet are on either sides of the mat. So, yeah, you're just kind of touching the knees to center. Goalpost arms, or you could do arms out to a T. And then we're going to start lowering over to the right. Not too close to the wall. So the feet stay where they are. It's kind of an uneven twist. But it's a little less of an intense twist than when you have both legs together, but it's a different kind of twist. You'll feel that there's some different things that are happening here. Back to center. And then we're moving both knees over towards the left side. And then back to center. Let's hug the knees in. Rock a little side to side. We can make a big circle with the knees. One direction and then reversing. And then bring the knees into the chest, maybe happy baby here. So we're getting a hold of the feet. Do the instep, or you could do ankles or whatever you got here. And then we're sort of lifting the feet up. The knees are angled toward, that feels good. And then we're going to release, extend the legs straight up. Soles of the feet press up toward the sky. So feet are flexed. Hands by your side. Palms resting on the mat. And when you're ready, you can lower. One leg at a time, both legs together. choice. And then just find a place that feels comfortable to you. If you want to move around a little or do a couple more things before you settle down, that's fine. Keep breathing. Notice how your breath is now. Is it a little smoother than before? Maybe check in with all the parts of your body. See how they're doing. Having that um, light awareness. Right? So we're noticing, but we're not deeply analyzing or um, staying in on one place for too long. We get distracted, just move on. So if you've done Shavasana for any kind of length of time, you probably have your own little routines that you go through, and that's good. We want to develop that whatever works best for us. So um, you can stick with that. You can try different things. When we first start with yoga, sometimes it's hard to imagine that we can find a peaceful spot inside. But we can, and that peaceful place is available to us always. Right? A yoga class helps us access that place. It puts us in that frame of mind. But that place isn't generated from yoga or from a class. It's in there all the time. Um, Whenever you need it, whenever you want to take a break, that is somewhere you can go. Um, so we carry this well of stillness and peace within, always. So that big ahimsa, right? That big yama, that umbrella is over top of all the others, non harming, is, the most important thing. Um, Not to harm others, not to harm yourself. Um, that is maybe the biggest disruptor of all, is this ability that we have to so casually injure other people with just a few words. And the same for us, right? Taking offense at other people's words and um, feeling harmed, feeling wronged. Um, so what we do, we have control over, right? We may feel like we don't, and sometimes it may feel like we can't control our behavior, but we can. I mean, that is our responsibility. Um, what we can't control is other people's behavior, but we can control our reaction to it. So if you feel like uh, you are being offended, then you're going to have that pain. You're going to have that feeling inside. But don't if you don't allow that way, then it won't bother you, right? So if someone says something that is unkind or rude to you, um, you could accept that and you could carry that around and feel a lot of pain and suffering from that. Um, or you could choose to not accept that, not not take it. I know I've told this story before, but and I wish I could. I'm not probably not going to remember all of it, but um, it was a yogi who was being harassed by someone and saying that everything he taught was false and he was a bad guy and he was just useless and all of this and he had no response. He wasn't responding to this guy who was speaking to him. And of course, that made the guy even angrier, right? So he just kept harassing him and saying terrible things. And he said, finally, well, why won't you respond? Why don't you have anything to say for yourself about this? And the yogi said, well, I don't accept your gift. I don't want your gift. You're offering me something that is unpleasant, and I don't want it. So if you gave me a gift that I didn't want, I would return it to you. So I'm just going to skip that step. I'm not even going to take it. Right? You keep that. That's your gift. You do with it what you will, but I don't want it. So we can choose. Right? If we don't give um, weight to this opinion that we hear, then it has no effect. It only hurts us if we choose to let it hurt us, if we choose to accept it as a gift, right? A good or a bad gift. Um, and that being said, if it's something that's being told to you by someone that you care about, that you trust their judgment, you might want to take a look at what they're saying. Maybe what they're saying has some grain of truth. Um, but many times it's not. Many times people lash out in anger because of things going on with themselves. Um, so rather than get super upset about it, you could just think of it as an unwanted gift. You're just going to set it aside. Don't want it. Not going to open it. Not going to carry it home with you. Forget it. Um, so when we choose to stop those things before they really get going, that is a kindness. It is non harming. You are being kind to yourself. You're being kind to this person who is maybe dealing with a lot of problems of their own. Um, Rather than escalate it into a huge big thing, you are just refusing to participate. So being kind. Um, Sometimes it's as much about what you don't do as what you do. So when you're ready now, moving a bit, fingers and toes, hands and feet, making your way up to a seat. And then let's bring hands together. Breath in and out. Thank you for taking time this morning for yoga and for sharing it with me. I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you for coming to class. Um, if you weren't here early, I was talking about some files or links to, not files, links to websites that I added. I think they're in the About section of the website. There's a place at the bottom for links. And I put a few things, a couple things for Ayurvedic recipes, and a link to kind of a deeper exploration of the yamas and niyamas for people that are interested. And I think I will just periodically post things there um, based on what we kind of have talked about or questions people might have. Um, and I think that's it. So tomorrow's Sunday. Enjoy your day off. And I'll be back here on Monday. I will, even though it's a day off, I'm still going to be here because, why not do a little yoga? So I'll be here and I might see you, I might not see you. Any questions or anything anybody wants to say? Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Dora. Thank you for coming. Okay. So I'll be back Monday. Oops. I figure out how to end this better. Too many buttons.